Well, this is Mr. Danny DaCosta, and we've talked about him before. And Danny has this mint, beautiful 86 convertible. So you start off with adding a supercharger, headers, the small stuff. And, you know, Danny wanted more power. So to do more power, you got to do different things to the vehicle. And I know some of you are probably sick of, hey, trick flow kit again. So, but now I'm going to get more into depth of what we do to make this car make 500 at the wheels safely, and it'll last for years as long as you maintain it. So we're going to go over here. We're going to talk about all kinds of different things. So this is what it takes. So if you're going to build this car, you want to build it right, nothing half-assed. So Danny already did the fuel pump, so he's good there. Now, to make more power, it's a whole recipe. So I tell people, if you're going to do it right, or don't do it at all, or wait a year, collect all the parts. Okay, so we're going to start like simple stuff. So we pull the motor out. So this is the 86 motor, very restricted, small ports, small valves. It has bumps in the exhaust. So basically it's a stock motor right now, and also has flat top pistons from factory. So the flat top pistons work really well. They're forged and they take the power. This thing will make 500, 5.25 safely at the wheels. That puts you almost 600, the flywheel. Well, what do you need to do to make that kind of power? Well, simple. So we pull the motor out because we start off with a simple heavy duty oil pump. Why an oil pump? Because when you add cam and rockers, you need to keep the lifters pumped up. This is basically the heart of the motor. This is going to keep the oil pumped, keep the lifters happy. Like, you ever heard cars that are really noisy rockers? It's because they put heads, cam, intake, but they never did an oil pump in it. So we definitely put a Ford Racing heavy duty oil pump in it. Moving on, all kinds of stuff gets done. So basically, we upgrade to trip flow head. So basically, you want to make more power, you got to get the air in, you got to get the air out. Start off with. So basically, we're going to start off with, and I have it here somewhere, it is the AccuFab throttle body. Again, we used to sell a BBK, all the other ones on the market. AccuFab makes hands down the best throttle body, doesn't stick, doesn't whistle. So a lot of people had them on their cars, sound like that, a supercharger, but it was a throttle body basically whistling. So also comes with a spacer. So that's very important. With the trick flow heads, you don't have to fly cut the pistons, so that saves the customer a lot of money to fly cut the pistons. So this will have no problem having valve to clearance due to the valves being sunk into the head. So the trick flow heads are absolutely amazing quality because they're aluminum, they're made in America, they really work. Now, so basically you've done the oil pump, and of course you're going to be doing the heads. You got to get the air in and out, so you got to do the basically upper and lower intake. Again, all matches the heads, so this way all going to flow. Moving on, if you're going to do a supercharger, you definitely want the multi-layered head gaskets from Felpro. They're basically 2.5 price of the regular ones. Definitely you need that. You'll need all the good gaskets that comes with the kit. You will need header gaskets, intake gaskets, and of course, to move the air in and out, keeping the valves open longer, you will need the camshaft. This here is all part of the whole combo to make horsepower. This will keep the valves open longer with duration. Now, you put it all together, you also have to have other things to go with it. So anything supercharged, anything over 400 horsepower, making say 11 pounds of boost, if you don't have an MSD ignition, what happens is it blows out the spark of the spark plug. So it's like blowing out a candle. So guys try to make power, they got the combo, but they don't have the ignition to go with the horsepower you're gonna make. So MSD definitely keeps it. It literally, if you touch the spark of an MSD, it'll literally almost knock you out. Of course, we've been zapped before, eh, Rob? Mm-hmm. Makes your hair stand up. Then you move on. Now you got to making all this power. Definitely you want to go with a center force clutch because you got to be able to put the power to the wheels. And if you have a regular stock clutch, literally it'll blow right through the clutch. Then you're not going to go anywhere except putting a brand new clutch. We also have ARP head studs. So for anything supercharging, we use a stud. So it pulls down on the head instead of a bolt that pushes down on the head. So a lot of guys will do this combo. We just had a car here last week that had stock head bolts. So we definitely recommend an ARP head stud. Moving on, now you're going to make power. You also need injectors. So you can't run your 19 pounders or your 24s or your 30s. To make 500, you need a minimum 48-pound injector. Like you could get away with 42s, but we tell people you might as well, the injectors are the same price, go right to 48s. You have room to grow a little bit to make more power down the road. So very, very important. Also, when you put it all together, you need a timing chain. This is a billet. It's really pretty. It's a shame that we got to hide all these parts in the engine compartment, and people sometimes don't understand why it costs so much to build a car. Well, if you want to do it right, so they used to be shiny, but this is billet, and it comes with a true roller timing chain. So so that's a true rolling timing chain, heavy duty. So if this breaks, kiss your motor goodbye. You'll drop valves. You'll literally explode the motor. So you need one of these. Now moving on. Now you have all this horsepower. You want to cool it off. Up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I wasn't a big fan of putting electric fans in these cars, but we found a good company that has great dual fan setup, keeps the cars nice and cool. So now almost every vehicle we're putting a dual fan setup, because now I believe in these fans. We used to do it at Flexi-Lite. Blades will fly off. Half the time they would stop working, and then you overheat the car, and then we have issues. You also have, Danny has a power pipe. As you can see, he has the big 4-inch pipe. That gives you about 2 pounds of boost, just letting air into the supercharger. So it's like I tell people, you have 100 people in the room, you need a double doors to get the people out. So same with an engine. You got to air in, you got to get air out. On another note, then you got also the adjustable rockers. They're bearings, so they really, like, that basically there's no friction. That helps you make horsepower. And also you go into average, you go 1.6 or 1.7 rocker. That gives you a higher lift in the camshaft. So rockers definitely a plus, because the ones that come from factory are just a stamp. There's no roller, so there'll be a lot of friction. You want to make horsepower, that's what you need. Of course, Danny's adding a brand new water pump, and of course, we're going to have the 90 mil filter to go into the SET for tuning. Mass air, we use the big 90 mil, so everything flows from the filter all the way in. And of course, you got the chip from SET that we've been using now. Oh my God. This is probably child-proof. So anyway, you guys have the idea what a chip looks like. As soon as I could get this thing open, child-proof. Simple little piece that we could fully tune the car. We didn't have that back in the 80s. It's all kind of manual tuning with timing and a regulator and a screwdriver. Here's something that ever makes the mistake. And Rob is our camera guy today, by the way. So Rob, thanks for filming. So everybody, I'd say probably 3 or 4 cars out of 10 have the wrong spark plug. So when you put spark plugs in a vehicle, you want to make sure that you don't put a stock spark plug. So if you were to put a stock spark plug, literally it would not reach the chamber. So I'm going to screw this one in here to show you. So what happens is when you put a stock spark plug, and let me get this thing screwed in here by hand, now you're going to have the spark in the chamber. So if you were to put a stock spark plug, one, you ruin the threads, and then this is what happens. The plug would end up in the middle of the chamber like that. So now your car is going to be a dog. You've added all this work, and you go, why is the car not running good? Well, because the flame is not in the chamber. So you've got to have spark in the chamber. So hopefully this gives you guys an insight of the depth, how much you got to do. This is what I call my recipe meal. You gotta have all these components for the end result. One, to last it a long time, so you could drive this car to California if you wanted to. I'm sure Danny would love to drive it. These guys go to Michigan, they go all over the place. And you gotta have the good stuff. And you also have, of course, the bigger rad to go with it. And it's just the stuff you need, including the long tube headers. They're here somewhere. They're right here. So we have the long tube BBKs, 1 5/8. Again, if you were to do all this work and you had stock headers, you're probably going to lose 70, 80 horsepower easily having a stock header on the car. So hopefully this gets you guys an idea. So I speak fast, talk fast, but it gives you an idea the things you need to make the recipe. Even as simple as a rear main seal, because when you put a brand new clutch, again, machine the flywheel, you got to put a rear main seal. These are the $50, $40 things that you got to buy to make it all work, or else wait, collect your parts, and do it right, or don't do it at all. So thanks for listening, and we'll get back to you guys with another project. And if you have any comments, please put it on here and share the video, and we're going to have a good time doing Danny's car here. So he's all pumped up.